Hi everyone, welcome to the Ravit Show. I'm super excited because today we have two special guests and not a new face to the Ravit Show. Liat and Anthony have been on the Ravit Show. They are obviously from BMC. So let's today talk a lot about obviously mainframe teams in today's world. How are they operating? They are under real pressure because senior experts are retiring, systems are complex, and the teams are expected to move faster with fewer people who truly know the systems, right? In this first part of our series with Liat and Anthony, we'll be obviously unpacking why AI is needed now and what institutional knowledge is most at risk. And then we'll be obviously getting more into the depth of trust and other parts of the game around delegation, scaling. But for this one, let's focus on people, knowledge, confidence. But without any further ado, Liat, Anthony, welcome back to the Ravit Show. Such a pleasure to host you both back.
Hey, Revit. So
Thank
happy to
you.
be here again.
Yeah, thanks for having us back.
Awesome. I'm excited to chat. So let's start with obviously the mainframe in today's world. Liat, I have a question for you. When you look at today's mainframe teams, what's the biggest pressure point driving organizations to rethink how work gets done, skill gaps, complexity, or something else? How does that all work? So kind of curious to know a little bit from you.
Yeah, so when people talk about pressure on mainframe teams, they usually point to skill gaps or system complexity. And those are real, right? The people who design these workloads, the ones who remember all the strange edge cases, are walking out the door. And at the same time, the mainframe isn't just an island anymore, right? It is tied into APIs, mobile apps, real-time analytics, platforms. So when something breaks, the blast radius is big.
Hmm.
But those are actually symptoms, right? The real issue underneath all of this is fragility of expertise. Mainframes are still running the most critical workloads in the enterprises. If that's payments, claims, settlements, but the way we operate them
Right.
depends on shrinking sets of experts. And the tolerance for outages or delays is basically zero. And that's why AI enters the story, not because it's flashy, but because the old operating model just doesn't scale anymore. Speaking with customers, we hear more and more a shift from should we use AI on the mainframe to where does AI have to be in the workflow if we want to keep up? So agentic AI
Right.
in particular shows up as a stabilizer and it helps preserving knowledge and support decision making before something breaks and not after. So at this point, AI isn't just nice to have accelerator. It's becoming the only realistic way to understand, maintain, and evolve this system at the speed that the business expects.
Right. That's so true in terms of, obviously how things are kind of moving, but at the same time, how things have been evolving too. Talking of, things being evolving very quickly, as we all have been seeing as senior mainframe experts have been retiring. What kinds of institutional knowledge are most at risk from your point of view? Because you talk to a lot of customers, you talk to a lot of experts in this space as well. And why is losing that knowledge so dangerous for modernization and operations? But at the same time, I would also want to bring the AI fundamental into the game. How will that change the institutional knowledge, how institutional knowledge is captured? So yeah, kind of curious to learn from you
Yeah.
about how should we be preserving that institutional knowledge to make sure that even though mainframe experts retire, we still have everything in the knowledge hub.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So when those experts retire, what we really lose isn't the ability to read COBOL or tune JCL. You can train people to do
Mm-hmm.
that, right? What you lose or what we lose is judgment. It's this unwritten knowledge, which bad jobs are fragile, which changes are risky, only at the quarter end, why that temporary workaround from 2003 somehow became untouchable. So
Right.
that's what I like to call is institutional memory. And without it, the mainframe slowly turns from strategic platform into black box everyone's afraid to touch. And in that situation, you see how modernization initiatives slow down while the risk actually grows.
Yep.
And to the other question that you asked me about traditional documentation, well, traditional documentation can't keep up with this, right? If you think about it, it assumes that people will stop, write everything down, and keep it updated while the system keeps changing, which actually never really works. And AI here flips the model. So instead of relying on stale documentation, it can actually learn from the artifact that the system itself already produces, right? Whether it's code, JCL, logs, SMF data, incident tickets, change history, you name it. So instead
Yep.
of who remembers where we calculated VAT, you get show me everywhere VAT is calculated, what downstream processes rely on it, and when it was last changed. And that's completely different kind of knowledge capture, right? It is continuous, it's queryable, and it keeps
Right.
evolving as the system evolves. Documentation stops being this static artifact and becoming a living AI-backed wisdom layer over the mainframe.
Yeah.
Yeah, now people worry that agents can also turn to black boxes, right? And that's a
Yeah,
valid
it can.
concern. Yeah, that's actually a valid concern. But what we should be building is the opposite. If agents are going to work alongside us with these critical workflows, they have to be transparent, explainable, and trustworthy. So I think of it as building a safe bridge over complexity. So our teams can move forward with confidence instead of fear.
I think that is a very good point in terms of, when we kind of thinking about things evolving and how at the pace where what it's evolving, you also need to think about the risks, and at the same time you need to make sure you're fixing them at the source itself. Anthony, I know we spoke about various things agentic before this in our session. I'm kind of curious to learn from you, and what are your thoughts around, obviously preserving the institutional knowledge, and how should it be done? Is there a secret mantra that we should be following, or is there a roadmap that you have in mind, or any best practices that you have seen in this space? Because you talk to a lot of customers, a lot of experts in this space as well. So tell us more about it.
Yeah. So I think we discussed this a little bit last time we spoke, and a lot of it comes down to what we're recognizing, what we need from our AI system when it comes to enterprise software. When
Right.
LLMs hit the scene a couple of years back, we all went out and used various GPT providers and had interactions with AI. And, I think that opened the lens and the possibilities of what could be done, but not only at a personal level, what could be done in the enterprise. But it was just a real short amount of time before we all figured out that the LLMs alone were not enough to cover what we wanted to do with AI or the potential of AI in the enterprise. So that goes back to everything that Liat was saying, how do organizations properly position themselves to
Right.
capture that institutional knowledge from those, senior staff that may be retiring out, then how do we infuse that? How do we pair that with the AI system being driven through large language models, as an example? So an agentic system that's put together, having a process in place, in-house, to understand what your assets are, what format that information may be in. Is it videos? Is it PDF documents, Word documents, whatever it
True.
may be? What are those assets? You have to identify those assets, catalog those assets. That potentially, these assets may go back decades, back in time. How to properly prepare those assets for processing into an agentic system. So there's a whole spectrum of steps that need to be done just to identify what you have, how to process it, and get it into your AI system. Once it's in the system, then we start talking about the rollout and who's our target audience, primarily with an AI system infused with our enterprise knowledge alongside a language model that's driving the AI system. And of course, that's going to be the next generation mainframer coming onto the scene. How do we get this new generation up to speed very quickly, very rapidly, and infuse them with this knowledge that we infused into the AI system? And what we're looking at is using that AI system as that source of knowledge. It's that go-to person that may not be there anymore. Now the AI is the go-to entity that you're going to go to get these get your work done, get the answers that you need. So when it comes to that, what can AI do for that next generation mainframer coming in? How do we get them up to speed as quickly as possible? So obviously, contextual guidance. And it's not just about the developer journey with contextual guidance. It's across the entire spectrum in the enterprise, whether it's the ops space, security, developers, etc. Now we bring relevant context to that person using the AI system that's infused with the enterprise knowledge. It brings sense to looking at legacy code. Let's just talk about that aspect of it that comes up all the time with customers. There's code that's out there. There's code that hasn't been touched on the mainframe in years. Folks are, as Liat mentioned earlier, folks are afraid to go out and touch that code. Well, we can use the AI system as kind of that support case to help them along, explain that code for them. One of the things I get from customers quite a bit is the source code may be out of date with the documentation. We get that a lot. So the code evolved over time. The documentation may not have stayed up with the code change. I hear that a lot. So they're looking at using an AI system to go in there, scan the code base, update the documentation, allowing those developers to have that sense of comfort before they go in and start making changes in their system. The other thing is not just about code explanation and documentation updating. It's actually, could you go into this code base and extract for me the business logic that's driving this application? Because a lot of exercises that are going on today is companies are starting to realize that is a certain percentage of code they want to refactor from COBOL maybe to Java. And it's not just about understanding the code itself, it's understanding the business logic that needs to be extracted and then modernized to Java as an example. So that's just another part of that. And then it's just looking at the AI system as a knowledge source. I'm going to go to my AI system. I'm going to start asking some questions. What is, how can I kind of questions? And I can get relevant responses that are contextual aligned to my organization's processes and workflows.
Yeah, I love it. Go ahead, Liat.
I just want to add, Anthony, that's spot on, right? I always think about this new engineer joining a mainframe team. 2 weeks ago, they were working on Kubernetes, microservices. Today, they are, let's say, starting a JCL from 1999 and a change ticket that tells you need to modify this step. So this field is optional or whatever have you. Emotionally, if you're thinking about it, that's the moment, this moment is pretty simple. This engineer really don't want to be the person who breaks the bank. Right?
That's right. So, yeah, and I know that feeling firsthand. When I took my very first job, when I first started way back, I remember my development manager pointing me to the source code. He's like, there it is. There's the source code. You need to go figure this out. It's not working. And we have to show this at a conference in 2 months. And I was fresh out of college. And I'm like, what? So I would have loved to have AI and AI assistant guidance, explain the code, etc. At that point in my life, for sure. So I know that feeling. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. To be put in that situation where you got to go out there and start touching some code that's mission critical, and it's a very uncomfortable, uneasy feeling. And to have any type of guidance there, whether it's human or AI, it would be tremendously beneficial for the engineers today.
Yeah, I love these insights, and that is so true in terms of, obviously, first of all, from personal experiences, is what we're learning is how AI powered explanation recommendations can actually make a lot of difference in the productivity for those who are new developers, operators, system programmers in the game. And I also feel like the productivity go will actually skyrocket if these are put into the knowledge hub. These obviously the expertise from the mainframe experts, if before they retire, if everything's kind of obviously put into the record, it will just be a game changer. I have one last question for both of you, Liat, Anthony, is about the future. How do you all see the future of knowledge hub? How is it gonna just grow from here? Maybe in the next maybe in the next 8 to 12 months. How do you see it progress? And what's on your mind in terms of how it can be much better for those who are new developers, operators, and system programmers? Anthony, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, we've been talking. I'm going to give you one aspect of it, and love to hear Liat's part of this. But I'm gonna approach it a little differently from things that we talked about before. So we've been talking about knowledge infusion into an AI system for the human being to consume and use, and everything we just talked about. But one part of it I don't hear discussed that much, if hardly any, is infusion of knowledge into an AI system that's targeting agents, right? As we move forward towards an agentic-based AI system, we're all talking about agents. We all see the value of agents and the roles it's going to play. It's going to totally transform the way we create, imagine, and envision enterprise software as we move forward. It's truly transformative in that aspect. So now when we start talking about organizations infusing knowledge into an AI system, again, not just targeting the human, we may want to now target agents. Here's a bunch of documentation around workflows and processes that we do in-house, whether that's AI ops, your DevOps, best practices, guidelines, etc., whatever it may be. Those agents now have access to that knowledge hub information as with the human. So the agent now has the LLM to lean on. The agent may have machine learning models to lean on, but now the agent also has targeted knowledge for it. So when it does its work as an AI agent, it could follow guidelines and practices as I described by documents and additional information that was pushed into the AI system. That's where I really see the explosion of AI agents doing things that are truly relevant in the enterprise, because if they become then true digital workers, and that's the part of AI agents I really enjoy talking about, is how AI agents could learn and adapt to a specific environment over time in conjunction with this knowledge that was targeted for them.
Yeah. Hey, plus, I think definitely getting agents into the game of the knowledge and connecting the dots would definitely make the work easier, but also be more relevant. And there's less of also thinking about that black box, but it will actually work on the knowledge that it already has. So that's a very fair point, Anthony. So thanks for sharing that. Liat, any thoughts around the future, 8 to 12 months? How do you see?
Just to add to that, it's going to be in the day-to-day operations, right? So these agents are working on the knowledge, on this institutional memory. And, think about this new engineer, this new agent onboarded to your organization. Then it's learning, it's digesting everything that is happening 10x faster, right? So that's the shift. And yeah, there are first-class citizens in the organization, probably.
Yeah, I love it. These are fantastic insights. I can talk to you both about this for another hour, but you all shared some fantastic information around, people knowledge and also the confidence, which is what we can feel with the AI powered solutions that we now have in place, and obviously how mainframe is evolving is extraordinary with obviously AI coming into the picture. The next half I would love to chat with you all about is trust, and because obviously with AI there's another big game that enterprise leaders always want to play is trust, and then with trust obviously the delegation and how do they scale. So let's chat about that. But it was such a pleasure chatting with you all around this. We'll keep the series going for our audience. And for those, I'm pretty sure, who are watching us, can always tag Liat and Anthony on LinkedIn and ask questions if you all are watching. And I have one last question, I promise, for both of you is if folks want to reach out, which is the best place? Is LinkedIn the best place to connect or some other place? Liat, where can they connect?
Yeah, LinkedIn, that's a great place to start.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
fantastic.
same here. LinkedIn is the way to go for sure.
Amazing. This is great. Thanks, both of you, for sharing these amazing insights. We'll keep the conversation going. Looking forward to a 2.0 session very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.